Hey, this is Brian with Concerts That Made Us podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us, a great show about other great shows.
Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Crabone, known to my friends as Marv, and this time I'm speaking with Bobby from the Rock Guys podcast. Hey, Bobby.
Hey there, everyone.
Hey, Bobby. Thanks for being there. How's everything with you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How about yourself? How's Louise?
Oh, Louise is fine. Bobby asked after you. She's smiling and waving.
Okay. The waving. Okay. Can you see me waving too?
He says, can you see him waving as well? He is. Oh, dear me. Everybody knows Louise, even though she rarely talks. So
we hear Louise a lot.
Yes, we do lately. Yes, Louise has been on a few shows lately. Yes. She's on the one that's coming out on Sunday as well. I don't think she knows that.
She does now.
She does now. So I'll start with a different question to what I'm used to, just to catch people off here. But what's your history with music then, Bobby? Are you actually a musician and have a general love of music, and that's how the Rock Guys podcast came into being?
Well, there's a long history behind it. I've always had the love for music, but my more profound classical love started probably a couple of years ago. I was always listening to classic rock, but my deep involvement into it has just recently started. A lot of times I'd be going on the web trying to search around for certain information, and I'm bouncing everywhere trying to get all the details I need. And I was just wondering why there wasn't a podcast about this. And there's a lot of great podcasts out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, and I can't even come close to what Brian or Mike does. That they're out of my league. But they're amazing guys, amazing podcasts. My Concerts That Made Us podcast and my classical album podcast, the best for music. That's my go-to place. So what I did is I created a podcast where just to get your information, quick information. If you're going to a concert, perfect place. Go see the Rock Guys. They'll give you the information on it, to get you started.
Yeah, I was talking with Gil from the Mind Buzz, and
he told me he listens to me. What's up with that?
He does, and what he does is, because Gil is, I've said it another way before on shows, but really, to put it the correct way, Gil is a very open mind, and he's always looking for something new to sink his teeth into and to listen to and to get turned on by. So he said that he listens to your show all the time. He's up to date. He's listened to every episode, and when he listens to every episode as well, he will then go and check out songs by those bands that you've talked about or spoken about, and be turned on sometimes not, maybe, I don't know, but a lot of the time you're putting him onto music that he's not thought of listening to before, and it's opened his world even more. He's a great guy for just being open to whatever's there.
I am so deeply humbled by that. Honestly, thank you, Gil, if you're listening. Oh, you're listening. I know you're listening. Thank you so much. It means so much when someone appreciates it, and it's yeah, it's touching. It's touching.
It is, but you know, I mean, I don't want to make you feel, you know, embarrassed or anything, but it's not just Gil. I mean, even Brian from the concerts that made us, he enjoys listening, and I know a lot of people enjoy listening to the show. Who else listens to it as well? Greg from Bad Council, and I think Tim listens to a couple of episodes
Right.
as well. I don't think he's listened to everything, but he's listened to some. So, you know, it is listened to. And I was going to say, when you were talking about those other shows, it's a different show that you're doing, but it still is important and interesting in its own way, because what you're doing is, I've said before, it's like an introduction to those bands. So you
Right.
explain the history of the band, their discography. You pick out the bits that jump out to you personally that have grabbed your attention about the bands. And
Right.
it is basically an introduction to those bands so that people then can go and hopefully find a new band to love, to add to all the other music that they're listening to.
Just like what Gil does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man,
you're a mind buzz for people to listen to find new music, and he's another type of mind buzz altogether.
oh, he's got an amazing show.
He has,
really
he
does.
really has.
Wow. I didn't expect to hear all this today. Yeah, now I'm kind of blushing.
I'm sorry.
Well, what I found is that whenever I first got into it and first started to record it, I didn't want to sound like a crime podcast. I didn't want it to be monotonous, monotone, or boring. And how do you bring facts and make them not boring? So I upped my game again a bit. I get a little excited and just go
Yes.
try to give some energy to it.
It's funny, you're like the Energizer Bunny, aren't you? Just like, it's almost like that when you listen to the show. It's just you're there and you're perky and happy and all the way through. And I think what else is interesting is that you've arranged the show in such a way where you're going to one thing about the band, then you'll have a bit of a gap for a musical break, sort of an interlude, and then go into something else about the band. So you split it into sections, so it's always it moves. It's almost like an action film, where one of those action films where it never stops. It just goes from one bit to another, to another, to another, to another, and you get the information out there, but there's no slowdown in it at all.
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, because info, like just getting info, is so boring. I mean, I got accused of reading off of Wikipedia, and I don't read off of Wikipedia. I do take some information off of Wikipedia, but a lot of times there's not a lot of information on Wikipedia, believe it or not. So I go to the band's website, I go on All Music, I go on the Metal Archives. There's a bunch of different venues for it. YouTube's a great place. The music videos, the interviews, they're great places to go.
Absolutely. So, did you? How did you come by that pattern then for how your show is based? In starting there and going from A to B to C to D and that sort of
Like the
arrangement.
segments.
Yeah, those segments. Yeah.
Okay. It's really curious because I really don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen and figure out like where the changes happened and how it happened. Like, I did want to go in and give certain information, like album discussions, discussions about the bands, discussion, like whatever certain aspects for the band that I've got going on.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to break it up a bit. And since my name is Bobby, and I was really gearing towards the Howie Mandel Bobby's world. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go into that direction without it being that. And that's what I did with Bobby's World. I just created the song discussion. And it's basically the song picked off of the rock album section.
Usually, sometimes you'll go and do a song that's not from that album that was the album that you picked out. Sometimes,
Yeah, I want to try to stay with the album that I picked, but sometimes it just doesn't work out.
no,
Like the album's great, but the songs on there I don't think are the best.
no, no. No, sometimes it's different. I mean, I find that sometimes with, I mean, you must I think you've probably guessed that I like a lot of progressive rock and progressive metal. So, but you'll find that sometimes you might like an album, but because of that sort of genre, sometimes it doesn't work when those songs are taken out of context, being joined to each other and flowing from one to the other. So
Right.
you might need to go to another song to introduce people and say to people, well, this is what that band's like. Listen to this song. But in my personal opinion, this album's better. But I
This
can't pick
song-
out a single song
this-
from that album that works without
and
the
the one
rest.
song will cover like the band's history. You'll know the band when you listen to this song.
Yeah. It's
So
a
like
bit
any
like
song from AC/DC will tell you what AC/DC is about.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. Well, I was surprised. I mean, one of these days they might suddenly come out with an acoustic number. Who knows? But doubtful.
I hope not. I hope
so
not.
do I.
I think that would kill them.
So do I. I think AC/DC have got all the ingredients there, and they work
And what
perfectly.
a band. What a band. My God, they haven't changed the tempo at all. Like they're still going strong, still the same music. You listen to their new oh God, did I forget the Power Slave? Is that their new album? Oh my God, I'm so lost.
No, that's
Anyway,
that's I
AC/DC
made
just put out
their
a new
latest
album.
album. Oh, what was that? I've got that as well.
The oh my Lord. But anyway, if you listen to that one and you go back and you listen to Back in Black, there's like you can tell it's the same band. Like the music has not changed much.
Yeah, I mean that latest AC/DC album, it's lucky in a way because it's all based on things that Malcolm had already written before he died.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, people. That's one of those bands where people. There's a lot of people who look at the band. They'll think of the lead guitarist solo, who does all the solos, Angus, or they'll think of the lead
Right.
singer. But I mean, even in interviews, Angus has said if it wasn't for Malcolm,
There'd be nothing.
there'd be nothing
Right.
because he was the whole heart and soul of the band. He wrote basically what those songs were based on. He was the riff master general, shall we say.
But now he's been replaced by his nephew, right?
Yeah, he's been replaced by Stevie,
Stevie,
hasn't
that's
he?
it.
Yeah. But
I couldn't think of his name.
he's a good guitarist. I just hope that Malcolm's got a whole lot of more stuff that he'd written, and that they can do another album based.
Yeah, because I think it might be their last album.
That one that's just come out, very possible. And I think
I think one more.
one more,
I think
maybe.
they will pump out one more. I think Malcolm was in the works and writing quite a bit. And they got a lot of stuff stored up in the vault that they haven't released yet.
Yep, and I'm very happy that they've got Brian singing as well.
Oh, yeah, I think Brian's awesome. I
So
think
do I.
he's got an amazing voice and unmistakable.
Yeah, definitely. They've been very lucky to have two singers who were so
Powerful.
and incredible and iconic at the same time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
G'day. This is Matty C from the Astros Fantasy Football Podcast, way down in Australia. And we love getting to listen to Marv meet new podcasters from all over the world here on the Pods Like Us podcast.
So, how were you introduced to podcasting in the first place then, Bobby?
Oh, I think I was on Facebook at one time and I saw an ad for Anchor pop up. And Anchor's like a free software for podcasting.
Yeah.
And I was listening to podcasting already. My friends were listening to podcasting, and yeah, I just I said I'll give it a go, and I created one I ran it for I think about 4 or 5 months, but I was covering conspiracy theories. I couldn't think of it.
Okay.
So I covered conspiracy theories, and then like 5 episodes in, I'm like, well, this is going to be limited. So I got to find myself something else. And yeah, let's just do. And I had talked to one of my friends about starting up a podcast for rock, and he was all down for it. So I set everything up, came up with the name, created the website, created the email, created the site, had everything set up, raring to go, and he bailed on me.
Yep.
And it's just sad because so now I said, well, it's still gonna go. I want this to happen, so I'm still gonna do it. So I did it. And here we are.
I think it works as well because I mean the way that the title can be seen now is it's for all those rock guys out there, and it's all about rock guys. But because you're doing it on your own as well, I think possibly if you had somebody with you, it might lag slightly because you'd be chit-chatting a bit more, whereas the way that you've got
it would be totally different than what I've got going right now. I could not do I had on one of my episodes when I did Megadeth, I had a guest come in just to chat because he knew a lot about Megadeth, and I wanted to have his view on it. And yeah, it was not my podcast. Like, it was nothing like what I'm doing. It was just the banter. It was fun. It was banter back and forth about Dave Mustaine, but it wasn't my podcast.
No, because like I said, I mean, the way that it works with you on your own is that it just, like I say, it just goes. It's quick. It's snappy. It goes from one to another to another to another, and that's the hook of it. Is that it gives you the information in those beats and doesn't pause for a moment. It's relentless.
Relentless. Yeah, that would cover it. Yeah.
But fun at the same time as well, because you're always happy.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing it. I really do. A lot of times I get tied up with other stuff and that's when I start to get frustrated. I've seen myself on a Sunday night be here at 1 a.m. just to drop the episode on time.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I have. So, how do you actually record the show and put it together then, Bobby?
Well, I record everything through Audacity. I love it. It's simple. It's easy to use. I'm slowly finding new tricks, new shortcuts to help me with the editing. So that's great. I do want to transfer everything over to the Mac. And why I haven't done that yet is because Audacity doesn't work that well on the Mac. It's mostly covered by GarageBand.
Okay. Yep.
So I'd have to use GarageBand, and I'm not ready to give up my Audacity. So I'm going to run this till it dies.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about GarageBand for doing podcasts, but I haven't got a Mac, so yeah.
Well, I have a Mac. It's actually sitting under my PC right now, like sitting under my laptop, and just waiting to go.
Yeah.
But like I said, I plugged in my mic to it. It didn't react proper. I plugged in my focus right. It didn't react proper. It was like, oh.
Yeah.
Gets a little frustrating, but at least I got this as a backup, and seems to be working well. So we'll keep going with this until the thing decides to take a shit or something.
Yes. I had to buy a new computer in the new year because mine gave up the ghost. I had to buy one, and then I was a bit behind on editing shows because of it, which is a pain in the backside. We'll see. So. You record it and edit it in Audacity. What the musical interludes? Where are they from? Are they yourself, or are they found from a free site?
They're
something?
pulled from YouTube Audio.
Okay.
I pulled their stuff off of there, and I use snippets of that because I know we're very limited to what we can use, right, when it comes to music.
Yeah.
And it's funny that Gil, he said that he listens to the song after, like he goes and searches the song that I covered on Bobby's World, because my initial thought, because I use Anchor, we are they're owned by Spotify. Now, Spotify will allow us to play a song inserted anywhere in the podcast, and we can go for a full-length song as long as we are subscribed to Spotify, and the person that's listening has to be subscribed to Spotify to listen to the whole song. Otherwise, they only hear about 30 minutes of it or 30 seconds of it, or
Okay.
yeah, 30 seconds, I think. But it's a random 30 seconds. It's thrown like right in the middle of the song. They grab 30 seconds and throw it in there. It doesn't even sound right.
No.
And if I play this on with the music added to it, all of a sudden it's only available on Spotify. So you can't get it on Apple. You can't get it on iTunes is Apple. You can't get it on Podbean. You can't get it on any of the other providers. You have to listen to it through Spotify. And I didn't feel that was right to limit myself to one. I'm not Joe Rogan.
No. None of us are, and none of us make the money that he does either, unfortunately.
When's he going up in a rocket?
I know. Hey,
Seems like the thing to do.
Him and Richard Branson, yes. Yeah. So here's a, should we say, out of left field question for you then.
Okay, Marv, before you go too far,
Go on.
just let me say that your podcast is really super amazing. I love what you're doing, getting everyone on and the getting everyone together, working together. You've turned this all into a big family, and it's pretty awesome. And I just have to say thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much. I never know how to respond to things that people say like that. It's just,
Now you know how I feel.
I know how you felt earlier now. I do. Thank you. Touche.
That's not why I did it, though.
I know it isn't.
I was sincere.
I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur.
And we're from the Spy Hards Movie Podcast.
That's right. And you are listening to Pods Like Us, the podcast that has a license to thrill.
So, have you got any actual favourite bands of your own?
Jeez, there's so many. I have to say, what turned me on to thrash metal and metal in itself is the Master of Puppets album by Metallica. When I first heard Master of Puppets, it was playing in a different room, and I almost killed myself to go listen to what it was. And then from there, it evolved into Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I didn't get into Slayer until a few years ago. The heavier stuff started coming in a little later in my life, I guess.
Yeah.
But the stuff like Iron Maiden and Metallica, like the classic metal, I always enjoyed. I always thought there was a nice beat, a nice crunch.
Yeah. I mean, I remember. I don't know whether I said this to people. Iron Maiden, when I first heard them, I was in a. It's got to sound bad, this, but I was in a boarding school, and first Maiden song I ever heard was "Phantom of the Opera."
Oh, nice.
Because that used to be the music to an advert for a soft drink in England called Lucozade. And that used to be that, and they used to have an England, somebody who was an athlete for England, Daley Thompson. He was in the advertising it, and so he'd be there running, doing like the 100 meters or whatever it is running, and so you'd have the lead up to the song, with just the electric guitars doing it like that or whatever, and that sounded more like. That sounded more like Deliverance, that did. But, but you know which bit I mean. So you'd have the build-up in the advert, and then he'd start running and go for it, and it'd go, oh, yeah, and then it'd go like that. And so I remember that from that advert. And then, but I didn't know what it was at the time. But I thought,
It sounded good, right?
I thought, oh God, that's awesome, that is. And then when I went to school, and someone in one of the other rooms, they were playing it on their record player. I mean, they had a little portable record player that they took with them. That was so cool. And they were playing it in one room, and I sort of like gravitated towards it because I heard that song going on. I'm like, go on, what the hell is that? And then that's how I listened. So my introduction to Iron Maiden was that, and to heavy metal was that, and that album then after that. And that
it almost mirrors my exact experience as well.
Okay.
Hearing the song in the other room going, whoa, what is that?
Yes, absolutely. So Iron Maiden, AC/DC, I remember them. What would that be? Somebody playing Highway to Hell, that album. That was probably my introduction to AC/DC. I mean, really, a lot of my love of metal probably goes from that era. So I mean, I'm the right age to have heard that when it was first around, though as they call it, the new wave of British heavy metal and that sort of thing. So I was that sort of age anyway, where it would, because I was 10, 11 years old, so it caught me at the perfect time, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A lot of the songs from that era too started off in the UK and then came later on to the US.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later to Canada. No, I'm kidding. We're a little slow.
I don't know about that. You've got Rush.
Yeah, Rush. We're allowed once in a while to have an anomaly appear. And Rush was definitely an anomaly. Wow.
Yes, yeah. And still one of the greatest progressive rock bands going anywhere.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
I cannot argue that.
No. So.
But we had Ryan Reynolds too.
That's right. You've got Deadpool.
Yeah. But okay, now to bring everything back, we had Bieber too. So we can't win them all.
Well, for every plus, you get too many pluses, you're going to have a minus somewhere.
It's all about balance.
That's right. Dear me. So where are we going from here then? So you've already explained the way that you research. I mean, are you the sort of person where when I was younger and I used to buy vinyl albums, I know I'd buy an album brand new, and it was an experience, not just listening to the album, but the whole aesthetic of the actual cover and everything. It was something that was interesting on all levels. It wasn't just sound; it was visual with the artwork and everything, really. Then you almost have to pay it. You have to pull open the sleeve and look at all the credits as well, and read.
You got to read it
that
from front
as well.
to back.
Yes.
You can't. Yeah. I remember, what was it? I think it was a Kiss album. I pulled it out of its sleeve and I played it on my sister's record player that she had for Disney or something like that.
Yeah.
There was no record players in the house at the time. Don't know why. Just happened.
Yep.
So I pulled it out and I started listening to Kiss on here, and I just sat on the floor and went through the whole sleeve and then I'd reread it. I think I read it about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Get to know the album, get to know the songs, and then get kicked in the back by my sister when she got home. But that's okay.
Yeah, you changed all the settings on the stereo, damn it. But even as an adult, I still did that, because I remember getting the Innuendo album by Queen, which I thought was a fantastic return to form for them. And then I actually remember exactly as you explained it then. As an adult, I was sat there on the floor reading back to front all of the credits and the lyrics to the songs, and just taking the whole experience in.
It is, and it brings you back to a place. It definitely brings you back to a place. I've caught myself doing that. Mind you, it was with CDs recently, but you pop the CD in and open up the booklet. start
Yeah,
reading.
yeah. I mean, it's weird because I'm now back to buying vinyl again, and I'm thinking, wow, how the hell did that happen?
Full circle.
Full circle. I'm back to being the teenager buying records on vinyl and sitting there looking at the cover art and the sleeve
But
again.
it's hip now. Vinyl's hip again.
It is, and a lot of the time it's decent quality vinyl as well.
Right. Better quality it is.
Absolutely.
I was going to restart all my vinyl collection and I just no. I can't start over again. I'd have to buy the record player, then start from scratch with all the records. No, I'll stay with the CDs, and that works in everything I got. So
Yeah, I'm not replacing all of them again. There's just certain ones where I'll think that's a classic. I've got to have that all.
now keep in mind, if I go to a yard sale and they got a milk crate full of records and they want like $10 to $15 for it, you better betcha I'm grabbing that case.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to the discussion that I had with Gil and with Dave from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic podcast.
Decibolic.
Yep. We were having a chat, and I was saying to Dave the thing about, I don't know what your knowledge of it is like, but when listening to jazz and old jazz, I said to Dave, there's nothing like listening to Kind of Blue by Miles Davis or John Coltrane or any of that. It sounds better on vinyl than it does on CD to my ears.
It does.
Because it's got that, it's a timeless quality, but the almost scratchy sound of and the way that the movement of the actual vinyl on the player, that just adds to the whole experience of the sound, and it works on vinyl. I still think it's better on vinyl than it is on CD, those sort of records.
Certain songs, certain music is a lot better on vinyl than CDs. And it's exact same thing as, how can I say it? Like I can't use the older movies. Okay, scratch that. I forget what I was talking about. I haven't even smoked yet, so that's probably my issue.
But it's also a bit like going back to Queen again. I think A Night at the Opera and Sheer Heart Attack and albums like that, I still think that they sound better on vinyl than they do on CD.
I can't say for sure because I haven't heard Phantom of the Opera on vinyl, but
Night at the Opera, no.
Thinking about the song, I could see where, it would have the same, how can I say it, charisma to it with the vinyl than the CD.
I mean, and 60s music as well, like the Beach Boys and that. I think that sounds better with that as well. Although saying that, with the when they do remasters or whatever, perhaps the pristine nature of CD might work better actually with the Beach Boys harmonies. I don't know.
I think it would be cleaner because I kind of remember the Beach Boys of being having. I don't want to say this. I don't want to knock them. I love them, but they had a dirty sound.
Yes.
I found that they had a dirty sound, and when I listened to it on CD, it was cleaned up a bit, but it wasn't the same. I expected a dirty sound, and I didn't get it. So it was like, doesn't sound right.
Do you think it's a bit like the productions of, say, probably not a person we should really mention, but Phil Spector Productions? Do you think they sound better? That wall of sound sounds better with vinyl, with the scratchy sounds of that, or the, I don't like saying scratchy, the warm sound of that, or do you think that's better with but it sounds too clean almost on CD?
For which one? Sorry,
Phil Spector's, that sort of music, possibly Motown as well.
Oh, you know what? I never thought about that, but a Motown sound.
Yeah, so old producers
I'm
like
hearing
that.
them. What I'm hearing is them on cassette. I can't even fathom hearing them on album.
No, you're the same as me. Most of my Motown collection was cassette as well. There's something about Motown and just being able to put them in a cassette, in like a cassette Walkman, and just have them there
Right.
They're with you. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
absolutely.
This is Dave of Live Life Loud, the Decibelic podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us with Marv.
So, what was the first concert that you went to?
I went to a concert when I was, and I'm going to say 8. It might have been 9. And I do remember it was Rolling Stones, and it was at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal with an amazing light show. It was pretty amazing. It was. The most memorable, the most loudest would have to be at the Forum of Montreal with Iron Maiden.
Yes.
It was intense. It was like one of the best, not the biggest, but one of the best concerts I've been to. The biggest was in Ottawa for Metallica during their Black Album tour.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, they went all out then, didn't they? From then for a few years. I mean, didn't that Black Album tour last for about 3 years or something ridiculous?
3 years. Yeah. But they were always making money on it. Always. Like people always wanted to see that. I would have returned to see that one again. But they put on a little bit of a show all the time, right? Like it's not just them up playing guitar, then get off stage. They have, Metallica, right? I know I'm asking a stupid question.
Absolutely.
The Four
no,
Horsemen?
Yep.
Okay, the Four Horsemen, when they have the drum, the bass solo, where it's just
Yeah.
During the concert, Lars Ulrich pitches his chopsticks up in the air, runs across the stage, lands on the other drum set right in time with the drums kicking back into the song. At that point, I heard nothing. I couldn't hear the music anymore. Everyone was screaming.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Yeah. It's that reminds me of when I saw Motley Crue at Manchester, and they had this they had this thing where Tommy Lee, his drum kit was attached to something or other, and then all of a sudden he's playing.
Comes out.
It's playing, and the drum itself lifts into the air, and it goes up onto the ceiling, and he's suddenly it's on a ball. It's like a ball.
Holy gee!
It's like a ball type thing with him in it playing the drums, and it's rolling around, and he's obviously strapped in because otherwise he'd fall off.
Right.
But and this is going across the ceiling of the arena.
That's crazy.
With him playing the drums. And it's crazy, I mean, they weren't 100% at the best at that point because it's the last tour that they did, but it's all theatrics, and it's a really smart and fun bit of theatrics, shall we say. It definitely made the night memorable, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Def Leppard did the same thing, actually. They their drum set just spun upside down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, playing with the one hand, with the one arm, and he's being spun upside down. It's crazy.
As if poor Rick Allen hasn't had enough happen in his life already.
First you take my arm, and now you're going to spin me upside down, you sons of bitches.
Absolutely. Dear me. But it's all just, I mean, that's just, it's an extension of what groups used to do when they used to be on like the Cherry Pickers, didn't they? And they'd sort of like go up in the air, and you'd have a singer there sort of like above the audience. It's just an extension of what that was.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really.
I've seen, I can't remember what band it was, but I do remember a drum set going up and jetting out across the audience.
Right.
Like, so the audience is looking up at the drum player as he's going above them. And I thought it was mirrored to what you said about the guy going about Motley Crue's drummer going across.
Yeah.
I thought it was something like that, but it wasn't. It was more like, it was really weird. But that could have been acid or mushroom too.
Yes. But we'll just go back to the Motley Crue just for a moment, and I will point out that their support act was actually better, and that was Alice Cooper.
I've never seen him in concert. I do want to see him in concert. And he's actually from this town where I'm living now.
Okay.
From Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's from Thunder Bay, but I know he does come up here a lot. He owns a house up here, and he joins in on some of the stuff going on down here. When we have our blues fest, he'll pop up in the crowd just randomly.
Yeah. But he's cool. I mean, he's still. I mean, it's very theatrical, but he does the performance as well. So I mean, he always puts on a good show, and the music's always good as well.
Right.
So,
but I gotta say, Alice Cooper's Poison. If I never hear that song again, I won't be disappointed. My ex-wife played that on repeat constantly.
There are songs that are just played too often.
It was really sickening. It reminded me of my neighbor who played Achy Breaky Heart on repeat on a CD. I almost got ready to kill him.
No, anybody plays that song, they're ripe for killing. Let's be honest. Oh man. But yeah, so songs that are overplayed. But then again, that's a subject all of its own, isn't it? That's a whole new podcast where you've got songs that are overlooked because nobody ever listens to them or plays them on the radio because they always play the same damn songs by these bands. Yeah. Looking at you, You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi.
Right.
When they've got songs that are, shall we say?
Pour Some Sugar on Me was another one. That one was overplayed. But they had so much good music. But why overplay this one? Like,
yeah,
it's good, but why kill it.
Yeah, why only play Photograph off Pyromania when there's so many other bloody great songs on there?
Exactly. That's the music industry.
It is. So
that's why I'm not rich and famous. Yeah, that's why. That's the reason.
Yep. Same here, but the other reason why I'm not is because I've not written anything that's got that hook that gets people interested.
Give it time.
Well, I've been waiting all these years. I mean, I'm only 50, so I'm still young.
You still got half a century to go.
That's right. Ooh. Try not to take the other one personally, the one they said first.
It wasn't intended.
I know it wasn't, no. So, are there any bands that you think are overlooked that people don't know about?
There is. There's a lot. Well, Slaughter, for one.
Absolutely.
I'm covering Cinderella this week.
Oh, you're going to mention about... he died this week, didn't he? One of the members of Cinderella.
Yes. Yeah. Geez, I had it.
I know. I forgot who it was. Bloody fantastic band. They are really good. And he's still good as well, the Tom Kiefer.
Yeah, he's very powerful in the music industry, actually. He's been playing for other bands as well, like just helping out.
Yeah. And,
but he's like a vocalist, guitarist, keyboardist. He's multi-instrumentalist. That's
he is. But you're right. They're a band that nobody thinks of now from back in those days. So you go back to the time when Cinderella were around, and you'll think of bands, decent bands, like Poison or Rat, or bands that were around at that time. And yet Cinderella seemed to have been lost to the annals of time, and it's unfortunate because there's such a great wealth of material there that Tom wrote, and and that the band did.
Yeah, and it's a shame that they haven't put out an album since '94, but they're still touring. So it's not like they've given up. But since this guy's death, I think that might have ended Cinderella.
Very possible. Yeah. That was sad hearing that the other day, actually, because they were a great band.
Hello, everybody. This is Ryan,
This is Avery.
and we are from the Frame by Frame King Crimson podcast, and you are listening to Pods Like Us.
So, how do you choose what bands you are going to talk about?
Well, initially I tried to follow a plan by going and having everything link up to, like, if someone, like, let's say I'm covering Cinderella and the vocalist is Tom Kiefer, but halfway through Tom Kiefer left and went with, let's say, Slaughter, then I'd cover Slaughter next. I'd try to find a little link between the bands and try to link them up that way. But what I plan on doing, and this is based on your suggestion, is later on, and I don't know if I'm going to do it as a new season or if I'm just going to continue on with the episodes, is actually covering personnel. So Tom Kiefer would be covered if Alice Cooper, for example. All the interactions he had with bands throughout the years is just phenomenal. Whether they're following him or whether he's supporting them and helping them out. He told Dave Mustaine during one of the tours where they were touring with Alice. He turned around and said, "Guys, you got to slow down. You're going to burn out. You slow down. I know you're going to burn out. Slow down." And they're like, "Fuck you. We do what we want." And typical thrash band, right?
So that could be a almost like mini series of its own. You could call it 6 Degrees of.
Oh man, that's smart.
There you go. So it'd be 6 Degrees of Alice Cooper one episode, 6 Degrees of Tom Kiefer another episode. I can't believe I'm coming up with these cool ideas. But I found that interesting on that recent episode of yours as well, where you were talking about the women that are in videos. Because women are in all of these rock videos, aren't they? I mean, let's face it, the 80s, yeah.
Oh, that's what sold rock albums was the women.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I was reading an article about Katane when she died, and I was like, you know what? I've never talked about her. I never discussed her. And thing is, she's probably going to come back up on a later episode too again, because she's done so many music videos.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll cross her name somewhere down the line.
You've beaten me to it. I was about to say rest in peace, Tawny Keaton.
Right.
I know Dave Coverdale put a really nice post up on Instagram about that when she passed away as well. Well, because ex Mrs. Coverdale, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he had her on the hood of the Porsche, let me tell you.
Yes, he did, on both video and in real life. So, how many episodes are you, or do you just do episodes week to week?
Well, I start on Monday. I start researching to see who's the next lucky contestant, unless I come up with it like during my research.
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll come up with another band during the research. Like I'll see a link and then I'll say, okay, they're next, type of thing. And then, I'll start my research on the Monday and try to get everything done as soon as possible. I like to have my weekends off, but it doesn't always happen. It actually rarely happens. So I come home.
Yep.
I come home at 6 and then have supper, do a couple of hours of the podcast stuff, and then head to bed.
Right. Okay. So, are you specifically basing it on like a certain type of rock, or is it open to all sorts of, shall we say, rock music?
It's I plan on doing all rock music. I'm not shy. I'm gonna shy anyone away if they turn around and say, "Hey, can you cover this band?" or "Have you done this band?" I'm up for that. I do ask in the show that, if you think I'm covering the wrong rock album, send me a message.
Yeah.
And then I can fix it or recover or do what needs to be done.
Because sometimes it's a bit strange what people might class as rock music. I mean, I'm actually looking at something now and thinking some people categorize these as rock, but a lot of people don't, and that's In Excess. Do you know what I mean? There's like those.
That's a progressive
levels.
rock, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But I see some stuff being classified as metal, and then it's like all acoustic.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know who's classifying them, but
No, that's true. But you're obviously going to look at bands as well. Like I'd say, you're going to go into the progressive realm as well. Then I suppose, like
Yes.
like Dream Theater, and to bring it up to date.
I'm trying to find a placement for Dream Theater.
Yeah,
I really am. That's one I do want to cover. Just it's not the right timing right now. I'm trying to get through a lot of the older metal, speed metal, glam metal, everything from like the early years, right? And try to get all the bottom feeders up.
But eventually you'll work your way up to the modern ages, and you'll probably do bands along the likes of what should we think, Amorphis and Leprous and bands like that.
Oh, the newer music, right? There are a few I've heard of. If you get a chance, check out the song "Popular Monster" by Falling in Reverse.
Okay.
It's a new band. It's very metal, but with a hint of rap. I don't know how to say it. It starts off where he's just like kind of rapping a melody, and you hear it progressively start to get heavier and deeper till eventually he starts screaming, and it's all about him going through an insane. He's got a therapist, and his therapist isn't listening, and he's going insane. You're not fucking listening to me, type of thing. So he's got all that going on, and it's very an intensive. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on it. Check it out, and let me know what you think about it.
There you go. I'll put a picture up for that as well, and then I'll say that you've suggested that to me, and then Gil will probably check it out as well.
All right.
Unless he's got a camera in here watching and he's already knowing about it.
I think he's got my place bugged.
Yes, I think he's already. I think he's already on Spotify looking for it.
I think he hacked my Alexa.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
If anyone can do it, Gil can.
Yeah, it'll be called Gilexa next.
Alexa.
Oh dear, that was good. But yeah, so yeah, you've got modern bands. I'm suggesting bands to you now. Like I said, Amorphis, Leprous, Between the Buried and Me.
I don't know that one.
Ooh, you might like as an introduction to them. They did an entire album of cover versions. Between the Buried and Me, and what's the name of it? It's called The Anatomy of. Because the whole idea is that it's songs that basically they liked when they were younger, so it's almost what influenced them. But
okay, I see.
But because they're progressive metal, they've got all sorts. So you've got a really good cover version of "Kickstart My Heart" by Motley Crue.
Oh, that I definitely got to hear.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Motley Crue songs.
Same here. I like the motorbike guitar sound that Mickey Mars has got going on at the beginning, and how it goes from that into, well, yeah, just amazing. So you've got that, and then they do like Pink. They've got a Pink Floyd number on. I can't remember which Pink Floyd song it is that they do. It might be Comfortably Numb, I think. But it goes all around because they're a progressive metal band. Obviously, the songs on there are going to be from all over the spectrum. So it's an interesting album. So it's actually not that bad an introduction to them, I suppose. So what other podcasts do you listen to then, Bobby?
Oh, do you have time? Like, is there a limit on Zoom?
No, I haven't got a limit on my Zoom. No.
All right, good. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my my app. I listen on Spotify, and just to like see my library. All right, so I first and foremost, when I first started listening to comedy podcasts, I was listening to a show called Bad Friends. Have
Okay.
you ever heard of it?
I have heard
It's
of
with
Bad Trends. I've not listened to it, but I've heard of it, yeah.
it's Andrew Santino, which is a comedian,
Oh,
along
yeah.
with Bobby Lee, who's a comedian, and they just basically talk about stuff on the show, and they're hilarious and they make me laugh. Um, but now they've been replaced by another podcast. Um, I don't find these guys as funny as Counsel.
No,
Um, Bad Counsel makes me laugh with every single episode. I mean, their antics are
absolutely.
hilarious. The callers are hilarious. I
Yeah,
mean, if it's the perfect podcast, and I mean, they did so well. Their logo is amazing.
it
Like,
is. Yeah, and I think recently with the addition of Katie, I think they've done really well as well to have that fourth, and have a female involved. Greg's
the
wife,
female's
but
perspective,
from the
like
female perspective as well.
for the
But
non-existent girl code.
but also at the same time, she's done wonders for them on their social networks as well by
The
doing all of those
graphics?
graphics.
Oh
They're
my God.
incredible.
Oh my God! I'm just like, I threw my hands in the air. I can't
Yes,
keep up.
absolutely.
I can't keep up.
No.
She's got some mad skill. Katie, I love you. You got amazing skill.
Yep, we love you, Katie. Yep. Go on then,
But
Bobby.
yeah,
What else have we got?
so I listen to Bad Counsel. I listen obviously to pods like us because that's where I can find pods. Like us.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Concerts that made us. Brian is like insanely amazing at what he does.
He is.
He is my go-to guy for the rock.
Yeah.
My classic album. He's got some good interviews with some pretty decent guests going on. His show's only I think once a month or once every 2 months, but it's worth the wait.
Yeah. But some shows are worth that. I mean, the wait for them, and it's because they're taking the time to make sure that they're doing a show that is the quality that they want to put out.
Exactly, and he's got some pretty big names going on. He's got some high names.
Yeah, those sort of people that he's talking to, you can't suddenly organise 7-8 interviews in a couple of days with those sort of people.
Oh, it's impossible.
No, you can't do that. And
Metal Nerdery podcast. They talk about all kinds of metal. True crimes. I go for. Oh, I don't remember the name of it. Just a second. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna reach over here.
Okay.
One of the true crime podcasts I listen to is Canadian True Crime, but that's because I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Games my mom found. He discusses old vintage video games and just goes through them, and sometimes he has some pretty decent guests on there.
Yeah.
Live Life Loud on the Decibolic. I listen to them. I've just started recently listening to them based on your review. So that was great. It's been a while. Podcast. Astro League. Have you heard of Astro League?
I have heard Matty and them.
Matty's got one sexy Australian voice. Let me tell you,
he really has. But it's the weirdest thing. An Australian podcast about fantasy American football.
Right?
I mean, that is the weirdest thing ever.
And for him to call it football and actually be football.
I know,
soccer.
for him to call it football and not say, well, yes. Strange. I'm trying to think what an equivalent to that would be. What would equivalent to that be? It'd be like I know I was talking to somebody in America and they suggested that they were thinking of doing a cricket podcast. It's about the same thing, or me doing a baseball podcast. Which, incidentally, if there's anybody out there that does baseball podcast and they want to talk to me, I am available.
Well, that'd be interesting.
I love
That would-
baseball.
You know, when I lived in Montreal, we used to go to the Expos baseball game, and it
Yep.
used to cost me $4 for a ticket.
Yes.
Yeah, the good old days.
Good
And,
old days when you didn't have to pay all that much to go and see a game.
Right. And it wasn't that far, so I hop on a bus and go see the Expos play. Sometimes I'd be there alone and just sit there and watch them play. Then they got switched, and then I moved.
Yes. That's life, Bobby, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It moves.
Yeah, life changes.
It does.
All right, so Jeff
Then
and
we could have
Jared
all
Save
stayed
the
kids.
World.
Yes, they make me laugh.
They're hilarious. Obviously, the Mind Buzz, right?
Yeah, Gil. Yeah.
General Public, Techie and the Blonde, Twisted Sisters with Jenny, SS True Crime, Xander and Stone.
Sander and Stone. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many, but I can't listen to them all in enough time. Like there's just not enough hours in a day to do it. So I try to jump around and listen to bits and pieces. And
I find Xander and Stone I can't get my head around how they do that, because to pull the curtain away, Stone is in Middle America, and Xander is in China.
Yeah.
So they record it when it's breakfast for Stone, and
Right,
it's supper time the same day, but later that night, where Xander is.
in the future.
It's just it's the weirdest thing.
It is. It baffles my mind. It literally baffles my mind.
But he still didn't give me the lottery numbers. He should have given me lottery numbers. He really should, because he's in the future. He should have been able to told me what the numbers were.
I don't know if because I think that's why the polls close so early, though.
Maybe.
Because otherwise, everybody would be doing that, right? No,
Possibly.
I don't know.
And that's reminding me
Worth a shot.
That's reminded me of a bit of a controversy, actually, that Gil would love, to do with the time zones. Is that the Australians knew before the Americans that John Kennedy had died, because it was in the next day's newspapers in Australia before the American media let the American public know.
Oh,
I saw that on a program. And I just thought, wow, that's fascinating.
it is.
There you go. One for Gil to pick up on, and he will, because he's done it before. Because did you see that post he put in this week where he'd obviously listened to me and Dave from Decibolic having a chat,
Yes.
me, Dave, and Louise, and then he picked up on it and he posted up a response to the question we'd asked him in the show. Which was just crazy. Like you said, Gil's everywhere. He's always listening.
Yes. There's no hiding from Gil.
There's no hiding from Gil. He's always and everywhere. Yes, he is. That's right. Yeah, he's omnipotent. Yes, that's a long word for this time of the night. Thank you.
I'd answer that,
Omnipotent.
but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's what they say about God, isn't it? That is everywhere all the time. That's it. So that's what that means. Omnipotent. Yes.
Omnipotent.
Yes. There we go. Welcome to Pods Like Us English lessons.
Hey, it's Gil from
The Mind Buzz.
today's Mind Culture and Social podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us.
So anyway, Bobby, how can people find you and get hold of your show?
Very easy, because my podcast name is Every Link. So you can find me on Instagram. That's my favorite place to be found, is at the Rock Guys Podcast on Instagram. You can find me on by email. You could email me at the Rock Guys Podcast at gmail.com. You can find me on Podpage at the Rock Guys Podcast. That's www.podpage.com/the-rock-podcast. It's all dashes. I don't know why there's dashes there. I find that so annoying. And my link tree on Instagram is probably the best place to go.
Absolutely. When I found out about Linktree, it was like a light bulb went off in my mind. I'm like,
I saw a door open.
yes.
Like I was like,
I don't need to put all these
shop.
links. Just put one link, and that will take them everywhere. Whoa!
Yeah, especially on Instagram, where you can only put one link, right?
Absolutely. I mean, here's an extra one. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a website you can go to called Podfollow.
I heard something about that.
So it's spelled the way that I said it. Podfollow. .com, I think it's called. And if you go on there and look and just go in the search engine and look for the show that you're looking for, it will come up with a link. And what happens there is it automatically sends you to your streaming platform of choice.
Okay.
So it's not like a link to a specific, like an Apple podcast page or your Spotify page or someone's page. It automatically links with whatever your streaming platform is and sends you to that platform's page for that show.
Okay, instead of going searching on every platform.
Yep, instead of going and searching on each
platform. There's a lot of times I'm on Spotify and I can't find a podcast. Elsie and Aaron, they have a podcast, and it took me a while to find them.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. Elsie and Aaron. The Interracial Perspective. So Elsie and Aaron run this podcast, and it's just two dudes getting together and just talking about the shit that's going on. And I went to add them and follow them, and I couldn't find them on Spotify. I actually had to go onto the computer, find them that way, and then come back, and it was crazy.
It is.
I don't know why it's so hard to find for some.
No. Anyway, for people, thank you, Bobby, for chatting with me.
Thank you, Marv, for giving me the opportunity to redo this.
Thank you very much. And that was so much fun. We'll have to do another re-record, and then even if we don't put it out, just to chat.
Well, I'm anxious for you to launch that live. Are you doing it via Zoom, or are you doing it like live Instagram?
What's that one? What's that we're on about? Oh, the chat. That will be just chat between us. I mean, we could possibly do it live. I wouldn't mind. Can do it that way. Then make it into that's not a bad idea, actually. You're getting me. Dear me, I was scared about doing live shows and video and everything, and now suddenly I'm
doing more of them.
Doing more of them, absolutely. So anyway,
you just have to get your feet wet.
That's right. Yeah, you get your feet wet, jump in at the deep end, and you'll be fine, as they say.
Awesome, Marv.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. You can get hold of me by going to the marvzone.org, and on there is a contact page for you to be able to contact me, and I will respond to people if they contact me there. There's also show details and show notes for any Pods Like Us episodes once I catch up with my very lazy catching up of that. And thank you everyone for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us. We can, it's connected to audio.
Yeah, I just connected.
Yes.
Hey, Marv.
Hey, Bobby. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. A bit warm, but other than that, okay.
Oh, warm's better than freezing.
Warm is better than freezing, but then you have central heating for that.
True enough.
Although saying that, aircon would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. Yeah. But tree we don't have them, and not really useful in Canada since it's only warm 2 months out of the year.
Yes, but then you get, the potential for really good, skiing and whatever else you want to do out that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a gold mine for winter activity.
Absolutely. Do you partake in any of that?
Up until recently, I did snowboard, but
Cool.
then I found out when my legs break, they stay broken longer than they used to.
Oh,
So I don't want to.
no. Dear me. Must be terrible if you liked it that much and now you can't do that.
Yeah, well, when the age creeps up, the knees get harder. So yeah, I gave it up, but I replaced it with podcasting. So I guess that's a plus.
That's true. That's true. You're not likely to fall, fall
Well,
over and
now
out
that-
yourself on podcast. Mind you saying that. Yeah.
That just depends on how much I drink.
Yes, me too. I've just had a bourbon just now. Well,
That's why
eventually,
it's so hard to do my podcast. Like doing it alone is just, it's super hard.
So, are you like me then? Do you record a lot and then you edit accordingly to make it sound better?
Yes. There's a lot of times I'll say the same line like 5 or 6 times over just because that didn't sound right. That didn't sound right.
I suppose we better get into the show then and chit chat.
So there's less editing for you.
Yes. Actually, that scared me earlier on because I'd recorded the first episode of the George Harrison podcast today.
Right.
And it scared me no end when the co-presenter or the co-host said to me, he said, well, I think that can go out without any editing whatsoever. And I'm thinking, dear me. And then he added it, made it even worse by saying, I'll put it up on YouTube. And I thought, oh no, because that's like the security blanket gone then of the editing. It's like,
Right.
dear. Eventually, I'm going to set up a group chat, if you like, so that me and you can be on a group chat with Brian from Concerts That Made Us.
Oh, that would be great.
And get some more of the music based shows, just chatting about music, and whatever we come up with is what we talk about.
Nice. That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Well, what about that other gentleman that you, my classical album, the guy that you turned me on to?
Oh,
Yeah, with Mike, I think his name was.
yeah, I can't remember now. Yeah, and dear me, I haven't got enough time to listen to all these shows. Crikey!
Oh
Wish I
no, well
did.
that's the thing, right? There's so much out there, and I mean, I'm downloading them all, but I can't get to them right away.
No.
But a good thing is that I'm going to be off in August for about a week, so I'll slide some of that in there.
Yeah, and you could listen to it with your wife. She might like to listen to some of those as well, and have a bit of together time with those.
I'll play it over the Alexa. She won't have a choice.
That's it. Do you like this? No. Oh well, that's a shame.
Too bad.
Right, let's get this started. Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Quibell, known to my friends as Marv, and this time I am joined by Bob Brunette from the Rock Guys podcast.
What's going on, everyone?
Hey, Bobby. Thanks for sticking around.
Oh, no problem.
Oh dear,
Just sitting here smoking weed, so we're all good.
that's good. Yes, I'm guessing that was a lot better.
All right. It sounded better.
It did. It did, and I was a bit scared to start with, not having my notes with me, but I think it worked.
It did work out well. Yeah.
But
Like when I cover the bands on my show, I cannot do these bands justice. I cannot fit all their history properly into less than half an hour show.
no. But then again, that's not what your show is about. Your show is about an introduction to those bands. It's not to tell people everything, because sometimes I think there are bands where I remember somebody saying to me that they didn't get into Nirvana at the time because they felt that they were a bit overhyped, and everybody was saying to them, "Oh, you've got to listen to them. You've got to listen to them." And they said, "Well, I'm not going to listen to them because I don't want to be disappointed by all the hype."
Right. Oh, how many times have I been disappointed by people saying, "Oh man, this is amazing. This is amazing." Movies upon movies. I've just gone be depressed.
Anyway, Bobby, I'll let you get on now because it's 9 o'clock where you are, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning here.
Oh my God, Marv, get to bed.
No, there's the Yankees playing at the moment, playing against the Phillies.
Okay, you go enjoy that, and I'll be here if you need anything.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Right. I'll catch up with you in a bit. Take care.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.